Ooh la la ooh la la, it's the way that we rock when we doing our thing.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Bad Gyal Thoughts, the podcast. I am your host, Bad Gyal Lee, or you can find me on any social media platforms as Lia Keonna, including YouTube. Welcome to episode 2, Bad Gyal Thoughts, the podcast. First, I just want to say thank you if you listened to the first one. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for coming back. I appreciated everybody's feedback, and I'm so excited to be back again. And I'm just excited for this whole journey. But on the last podcast, one of my viewers did comment that they wanted the next video to either be about self-care / self-love or relationships. So I love the fact that she actually put both of those topics, because I am going to get into both of those in different videos or different episodes. I just feel like one of the biggest and most important relationships is the one that you have with yourself, which hints like self-love, self-care. So we're going to start off this week's episode about self-care and self-love, and how it's important, how to get it there, and everything like that. So yes, everyone, let me just get into my handy notebook, okay? Because I write down everything, so I already know it's here, okay? And I hope everybody's been having a good week. I hope everybody's and if you haven't been having a good week, I hope the next week is better to come. But we're going to go ahead and get into self-love and relationship, self-care. So a few things that come to mind for me with self-love, and they're like just big points for me, is, boundaries, grace, discipline, self-respect, self-care. And what do I mean by all of those things? So when it comes down to self-love, one of the biggest things that one of the biggest thing about self-love is to have self-respect. And self-respect is putting those boundaries out, loving yourself enough to, tell yourself no or yes when the time comes. When it comes to self-love and self-care, I feel like self-love is one of the biggest relationships. Your relationship with yourself is one of the biggest and most important relationships in your life. Because in life, you can't give more than you can give to yourself. You can't love anybody or, be that perfect person in a relationship unless you're that person for yourself. So you do have, you can't love anybody more than you love yourself. So self-love is so important. Self-care is a form of self-love. Since your relationship with yourself is so important, and having self-love and self-care is so important, you must respect yourself enough to make time for yourself. You have to respect yourself enough to do those little self-care things that you love, whether that's like getting your hair done monthly or getting your nails done, your waxes, your haircuts, whatever that is, whatever self-love and self-care looks like for you. Sometimes it may be, sitting in the bathtub, taking a nice bubble bath with some wine. You have to make time for yourself. I know sometimes we get so caught up in our day-to-day lives, and nowadays time is feeling like it's moving extra fast, especially with it getting dark so fast. But you definitely need to take time with yourself. Like, give yourself the grace to sit back and feed into yourself, because you can't really do much or give much or do anything for anybody else unless you're feeding into yourself first. I always tell people you can't pour out of an empty cup. And if you always giving, your cup is going to slowly get empty, and then after a while you're not going to have much to give, and not even much to give to yourself, let alone anyone else. So you definitely want to feed into yourself. You have to pour that love into yourself to be able to give to other people, to do for other people. And a part of that is making time for yourself. Sometimes we get so busy and we're like, oh, we never have time for this, and I'll get to it when I get to it. But taking a little extra hour, waking up an hour early, or, taking away that extra time, setting aside 30 minutes to yourself so you can read one of your favorite books. It's all about loving yourself enough to make time for yourself, Because when it comes to the other people in your life and the other people that you love, you always find a way to make time for them or make time for anything else. Also, with self-love comes with learning yourself, learning what you like, learning what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy. Sometimes you have to sit in that uncomfortable section by yourself. Sometimes you have to go to a restaurant, eat by yourself, so you can learn yourself. You're somebody who grows and changes every day, and you never really, especially like in the age I'm in, I feel like there's so much things to learn about myself that I didn't, that I'm slowly learning. When I moved into my first apartment, I just started learning like what kind of random shows I like to watch and what kind of random snacks I love to keep in my house no matter what, because I started making those decisions for myself. So those are little things I've never would have learned if I just was always worried about everyone else. So you have to take time to like learn yourself, learn what makes you happy, and do those things. Also, when it comes to learning yourself, is learning your body, learning its wants and its needs. You have to learn when your body's begging you for water, or telling you it's hungry but it wants this, or it needs exercise, or it needs stretching. You have to learn that and give your body what it needs and what it wants. I know sometimes I may go and drink too much soda and my body's like telling me, girl, you need to drink some water. I learned my body enough to see it in my face, to feel it in my body, to know, okay, girl, stop it. You gotta drink some water. You're drinking way too much soda. And a part of my self-love or self-respect for myself is disciplining myself enough to stop drinking dark sodas. So I think I haven't drunk dark soda in probably a month. I know for a fact it's been at least 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, within the last month, I stopped drinking dark sodas, and I used to love Coca-Cola. But I had enough self-love and self-respect for myself that I was okay with disciplining myself enough to let go of the dark sodas. I just stopped drinking them. And my skin looks a lot better, I feel a lot better, and I feel different. But a part of that self-love and self-respect is having the discipline to want something and to actually do it. Because if you want something really bad and you don't do it, it's complete opposite of self-love. It's more so like self-sabotage. You know what's right for yourself. You know what you need to do, but you choose not to do it. That's self-sabotage. So you have to love yourself enough and respect yourself enough to want better, to do better, to push yourself even when you don't feel like it, to create those new habits. Because realistically, nobody else is going to want anything more than you want it for yourself. And even if they do, it's not going to be a change unless you want it. You're not going to see that change unless you choose to change. Another part of self-care and self-love, and when I said making time for it, is putting it into your monthly, weekly, bi-weekly schedule. I told myself moving forward, I'm going to always make sure my nails are done, or, my nails, my wax, my hair is always scheduled at least once a month. Sometimes with braids, you can hold on to them for a little longer, that's whatever, but I make it a point to put that time aside for me. Because if not, I feel like I'm working every day so hard, multiple hours a day, 40 plus hours a week, to not do anything for myself, to not put any of that back into myself, to not feed, to not pour into my cup, So how are you going to pour out your empty cup if you're not pouring anything to yourself? When you first get paid, all your money goes towards your bills. You prioritize your bills. But after that, you have to prioritize yourself. You have to prioritize what you love, what makes you happy. So some things it's like my check must pay for. It must pay for some nails, my wax, my hair, the things I love. And if I want to buy an outfit here or there, I should be allowed to do so. And everybody has different love languages. And love languages is important to know, not only for when you're in relationships, but when you're by yourself. When you know your love language, you know how to love yourself. You know how to treat yourself. Me personally, my top love languages are What are my top love languages? I'm sorry, y'all, I gotta have blank. My top love languages are acts of services, gift giving, gifts, and words of affirmation. Those are my top love languages. So I always find a way to love myself in my love languages. Whether when it comes to words of affirmation, I leave myself little love notes in all my journals and all my little posties around work, my work desk. I leave myself love notes. I'll be like, I'm so proud of you, Lee. You're doing it. Keep up great work. You're almost there. Like, I am my biggest cheerleader. I'm my biggest fan, because if you're not, no one else is going to love you more than you love yourself. So I have to set the tone. If I want somebody to come and love me and respect me, I have to set the tone to what love and respect looks like for me. And all of that falls into self-love and self-care. So I learned my love languages, and I practice loving myself in my love languages. When I feel like I did a good job, I am going to the store for retail therapy. I'm going to the store to buy me something. It could be something small. It could be a little coffee or hot chocolate for the day. But it was a job well done, and I'm rewarding myself. Because you have to have something that motivates you. You have to have something that, like, okay, I feel like what I've done, I'm seeing a difference. I can't work all day, every day, and not get a piece of nothing. It's no way. So I take that time and put a little money to the side myself. Whether that means me not buying dinner out and cooking for the day so I can have a little extra money to buy something, or whatever the case may be. I make it a point to love myself, to get things for myself, to treat myself a certain way, because that's the standard I have for me, and that's the standard I want to project on other people. Also, with self-love is having grace. A lot of us don't have grace with ourselves. Every day we're learning, we're growing, we're becoming new people, we're learning from our mistakes. So you have to have grace with yourself along this journey. Every day is not going to be the best day. Sometimes you're going to mess up. Sometimes you're going to make a stupid mistake, and that's okay. What you need to do is just have grace with yourself. Be okay with learning from your mistakes. Be okay with not knowing everything right away. Be okay with learning as you go. So I have been making a thing with having grace with myself, because sometimes I get mad that I didn't do it this way, or I could have done it better, or you put that perfection standard on yourself, and you don't have to do that. Have grace with yourself. Love yourself. Having grace with yourself, and also be okay with treating yourself and not cheating yourself. And when I say having grace with yourself, I'm not saying don't be honest with yourself. Always be honest with yourself. Be honest. Know yourself enough to be honest and be like, yeah, I messed up here. Yeah, I could have done better here. You have to be honest with yourself while you're making mistakes, or you're going to continue to make those same mistakes. It may not be what you want to hear, what you want to see, or how you want to project yourself, but sometimes you have to go through the hard truths to be able to fix them. So love yourself enough to be truthful with yourself. Love yourself enough to see your mistakes. Love yourself enough to learn from the constructive criticism. And have grace with yourself. Everything is a learning curve. This is a learning process. Have grace with yourself. Allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to learn. Allow yourself to know that you may not be the same exact person you were a few years ago. Or you may not be exactly where you want to be right away. But you're getting there. You're going to make it. So have grace with yourself and love yourself in every process, in every point that you are. Whether you feel like you can lose a couple pounds or gain a few pounds, love yourself where you are. Love yourself where you are, although you want different. And it's okay to want more. It's okay to want something different. It's okay to change what you see in life or what makes you happy. That's fine. But give yourself a chance to go into that. Give yourself a chance to evolve into that person that you want to be. But also love yourself enough and be disciplined enough with yourself to push you to become that person. Because once you figure out what character traits you love, what character traits you don't like, what you want to fix, and who you want to be, it's up to you to become that person. So after that, it's time to work. It's time to move. Love yourself enough to do it. Love yourself enough to be honest. and it's going to take you so far. Also, with having grace is just knowing that self-compassion is better than self-abuse. Having compassion for yourself is better than tearing yourself down and breaking yourself down because you don't feel like you're worthy enough. You're always worthy enough. You always mean something. So have some self-compassion. Know that everything's not going to be there when you want it or how you want it. Love yourself enough to keep going. And also, what I always tell like my mom and stuff, a part of self-love is having boundaries. Setting boundaries has been one of my biggest key points of 2023. That's one of the biggest things I've learned in 2023. And from my therapist, shout out to her, she has taught me so much about creating those boundaries and loving myself enough to respect those boundaries. There's certain things, and that could just be boundaries with your time, boundaries with your energy, boundaries with your money, boundaries with your space, your home, your things. Like, there, you can place boundaries in any parts, any aspects of your life. And if love yourself enough to place those boundaries and to respect those boundaries for yourself. Don't let certain people break down those boundaries. If this is what you put in place, that's what you put in place and you stand on it. Or, because a lot of times we like to be upset when people do certain things or act a certain way towards us, but sometimes we allow them to. We allow them to step over our boundary and open up our door. And you don't have to. Keep that door closed. Get up off the floor. Like, don't let people overstep your boundaries. I always say, like, you can't change the way people are and the way people treat you, but you can accept them for who they are and place them where they need to be in your life. So yes, you may be A, B, and C, and I love you, but I don't like A, B, and C. I don't like A and B. So if that's the case, I'm going to love you from a distance. I'm going to put you here in life. So I have learned that, like, love people. It's okay to love somebody, but if you don't love or respect what they're doing or how they move, then love yourself enough to put them where they need to be in your life. Because in your life, you are the main character. Everybody else are extras. Everybody else are co-stars. You're the main character. You're who we're here to see. So treat yourself like that. Respect yourself enough. Give yourself those boundaries. Pretend like you are the star of your show, because you are. And when they're the star of the movie, they get makeup, they get hair, they get brand new clothes, they get, what I'm saying? Everybody respects them. If they clap for some water, somebody's coming. So treat yourself and love yourself the same way. You're the star of your show. Place those boundaries. And if people don't want to respect them, then they don't respect you. But you must respect yourself enough to push people out that way. Like, if you don't want to respect my boundaries, what I placed in front of me to protect myself, then you're not meant for me. You're not meant to be around me. You don't love me. You don't respect me. Because even placing boundaries allow you to not, like, spread yourself too thin. Or, like how I said, pour out of an empty cup. When you create those boundaries, you're allowing your cup to stop after a certain point. Once your cup feels that it's halfway gone, your boundary allows it to stop pouring. You stop giving. Like, you can't spread yourself too thin. Because although you're trying to make everybody else happy and please everyone else, what about yourself? What about the energy you have for yourself at the end of the day? You have to love yourself, respect yourself. Needless to say, your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship. Love yourself. Treat yourself. Respect yourself. Respect yourself enough to make other people respect you. No one's going to respect you or respect your things more than you do. No one's going to love you more than you do. No one's going to do more for you than more than you do. So set that tone. Set that standard. Anybody who wants to come in your life and love you and be a part of that, they have to be okay with the standards and boundaries you set for yourself. I know no one can walk into my life and think that you're going to give me the bare minimum, because I don't do that for myself. I love myself too much to where you always will see me making sure I'm good. So anybody around me will do the same. You know what I'm saying? And I know sometimes it's the people that we love the most that's hardest to set boundaries against, but it's okay to do so. It's okay as you're learning and growing and moving to have those boundaries. Don't feel obligated. Don't feel like your time is obligated to anybody. Don't feel like you owe anybody your time if they don't do the same for you. Love yourself, respect yourself, be real with yourself, and have some grace with yourself. Life is such a learning curve. It's such a journey. It's a hard journey that's not always peaches and cream. So enjoy the ride, but find time for yourself. Don't beat yourself up and not pour back in. Don't pour your cup all the way empty and you're not filling it back up. But yes, everyone, that was just a little spill on self-care and self-love. I definitely gonna do a part 2 and go a little more into depth with different ways you can show yourself self-love, how you can make self-care a priority in your life, which I think everyone should do. At least find 1 or 2 things that make you happy, that make you feel beautiful, that makes you feel like you. Find those things and push for it. Do them on a regular. Make it a part of your monthly schedule, your bi-weekly schedule, whichever works for you. Find those things that make you feel like you. Find those things that make you feel loved and do them. Learn the way that you love so people know how to love you and you know how to love yourself. All these things are so important when it comes to finding out external relationships and an internal relationship, because your personal relationship with yourself is so important. But thank you so much for tuning into the second episode. I was so excited to do this, so excited to film, and I'm excited to be back again. So if you made it to this far, thank you so much. I love you. Make sure you comment and let me know what you like, what you want to see, what other topics you have for me, questions, or anything like that. And I will definitely be back. And for the end of this, I want to leave you with one Bad Gyal thought for Bad Gyal Thoughts podcast. And that is, I kind of already said it, y'all. My Bad Gyal thought is to find your love language and figure out the best way to love yourself in that love language. And you can do that by taking those little love language tests. I find little quizzes online. You can Google it. Find your love language and figure out how to love yourself in your love language. Make it a practice. But thank you so much for tuning in. I really enjoyed this episode, and I will be back for more. Bad Gyal Thoughts, the podcast, hosted by your host, truly, Bad Gyal Lee, or you can call me Lia Keonna. You can find me on all social medias at Lia Keonna, and I'll see y'all again later. Bye.